And the lighting is good right off. Okay. Good morning, y'all. It is a beautifully frigid day out here in the Rockaways. And again, my procrastinatory booty is a day late and more than $1 short. But you know what? What am I doing this for? Myself. Okay, I am perfectly aware that I am shouting into the void with varying degrees of futility, and that's all right. Because again, the whole reason that I started doing this and what impelled me to start this project was that I love my Nana. I love my Nana. My Nana was a remarkable woman who, through herself, through the life that she lived, through what she passed along to my mother and my aunt, and then passed on to me, are invaluable. It's just invaluable. It's invaluable. It's just invaluable. And I wanted to find a way to try and pass along all of the things that I loved about her and that she thought was important, and simultaneously take a stand against all of the bullshit that we continuously find ourselves mired in our current society, and this bad habit that we've gotten into of shit talking our own culture and shit talking the nation that we belong to, and this degradation of what it means to be an American. And my granddaddy can tell you, and my Nana would tell you if she could, that there was no one prouder to be an American than my Nana. And she fully embodied what it meant to be a proud American woman. And that's what I want to pass along. I want to reestablish what our cultural tenets are of Americanism and pass along the things that have been invaluable to me, that were given to me by my forebears. So anyways, let's get into it, okay? Today, I have so many different things that I want to talk about. It's really overwhelming, honestly. But today, we're going to dig into one of my favorite personal topics, superficiality, okay? Because I am what? Superficial queen, okay? And today, we're going to talk about kind of why, all right? And what's the why? Well, the why can be addressed by Mr. William Shakespeare himself, okay, who said, "All the world is a stage, and all the men and women in it merely players," which I believe is from A Midsummer Night's Dream. Now, Mr. Shakespeare was correct, all right? He was unbelievably correct. And what made me think about this is recently I've seen an uptick in videos and conversations around the alleged death, quote unquote, of the influencer, and how that is correct and incorrect, all right? And my belief in first impressions, and that stereotypes exist for a reason. And there's nothing wrong with that. And the greatest power that you can cultivate, which ties, everything is connected, everywhere, everything everywhere all at once. All right, that's life, truly. But anyways, pardon me. And all of this ties back to my little mini manifesto within my larger classy, not trashy manifesto, which is make beauty pageants great again. okay? Because the death of Miss Universe and the death of Miss USA has absolutely devastated me. First of all, I saw it coming. I saw that death coming on the horizon. Anybody with eyeballs and a finger on the pulse knew that that was coming down the pipeline, and sooner rather than later. But that's a whole nother conversation. Today, I'm going to be talking about Mr. Shakespeare, All the World's a Stage, the death of influencing, and how it's not really a death. It's just a unavoidable reality of having your life digitally documented in our internet age, okay? And how stereotypes exist for a reason, and you can either choose to embody the stereotypes that fit within your personal curated identity, or you can get mad about it and live up to the expectations of other people's stereotypes, because people are going to have preconceived notions and ideas about who you are based off of first impressions. That's just the way that life works, okay? If you got eyeballs, if you are a functioning cognitive human being, we all make snap judgments every single day because it is a survival mechanism. It's that little lizard brain back there at the core of your spine, darlings, okay? And kind of like my beliefs in beauty pageants, in learning how to navigate a woman's existence in this life. I think that recognizing stereotypes and what those look like in physical representation is a incredibly powerful and important skill that you can curate, you can learn, you can manipulate it, and that if you can do it successfully, it can drastically change the trajectory of your life and of your potential for success. So, why are we starting out with Mr. Shakespeare, okay, and his quote of all the world's a stage, right? You know what? First off, it's the holidays. You can't see the holidays in this, but give me 1 second. We gotta dust her off here because she's been in the window. This is one of my favorite pictures of Mandana. Look at her. Ain't she gorgeous? And she's in front of her Christmas tree. The woman is fabulous. Okay, nobody did it better. But we're gonna put Christmas Nana. Can you see Christmas Nana in the shot here? Christmas Nana. Welcome, Christmas Nana. All right, watch over us as we travel this path forward towards success and the glorification, idolization, and revitalization of the American way. All right, now back to our little British man, Mr. Shakespeare. So, all the world is a stage, and all the men and women in it merely players. Why is this important? Because it's the recognition that every single day that you wake up, you make a choice to put on a performance for the people that you exist around. Whether it's a natural extension of who you are personally in your private life, in your, in the deep recesses of your own consciousness, or whether it's performative. And I want to draw a distinct difference between performance and authenticity, because I think that that is the split in the road that has led us to this interest in the alleged demise of the influencer. So, now, why do I think that that's the split in the road? Well, because we have finally gotten to a point where the level of scrutiny that public personalities, and I use that broad brush intentionally. Public personalities have so much exposure into their personal lives, especially at the quote unquote influencer level, right? If you are a influencer and you're not a traditional entertainer, there is a willing layer of personal exposure that you put yourself into that means that at a certain point you will be seen as either performative or authentic, okay? Because there's a point where you can only perform so much. You can only sell so many products before people start to catch on that you are not a genuine, authentic person. All right, we see this in our, entertainment personalities now. We see it in our politicians, right? Because politics is, and the people who typically choose to go into politics are over large actors. They're actors, and they are participating in the political system as a way to garner personal wealth, power, and success. All right, so there are some people who participate in politics for the original intent of giving back in a civic way and making their community and the nation at large better, right? But the problem that we see within politics specifically right now is that it has been a vehicle for graft and what's the word for it? Graft and scamming for so long that naturally that's who it's going to attract, because if that's what the system is built around, then only those who are comfortable acting within that system and performing within that system will move within it, because it naturally is harmful and detrimental and puts barriers in front of those who choose to act in a way that is honorable and full of integrity, right? So because you are who you choose to be around, all right? You are a culmination of the 6 people or sources of information that you choose to put your time towards, all right? And that's all about what Shakespeare was talking about, right? Was this realization and recognition that every day that you wake up, based off of who and what environments you're going to be putting yourself into, you change the way that you put yourself forward in order to better navigate these environments, okay? And how that creates a problem within the influencer community is this overabundance of basically digital footprints, right? Like if your job is to put yourself out in public and make money off of who you are as an individual, if you aren't doing that in a genuine way, if you are performing a certain if you're performing in any kind of way and it's not the way that you choose to live when you aren't performing, right? If the way that you choose to live your life and who you choose to present yourself as are 2 different things, and you're an influencer and your life revolves around projecting your life into the public, eventually you are going to run into self-constructed trip ups, basically, right? Because there will come a time where someone somewhere catches you in what's essentially a lie, right? People will catch you being inauthentic because you're performing. Everything is performative rather than you living in a way that is authentic, right? And while everything is a performance, eventually the habits and personality traits and things that you choose to cultivate within yourself as that performance eventually become reality. And it's why those 6 to 7 people that you surround yourself with are so important, right? Because that performance that you put up every day eventually becomes your reality. And so if your performance is done purely for financial or power gains, then there will come a time where that is who you are. You end up becoming a nasty, grifting, disingenuous person. And I think that expresses itself externally. And that's why you see a lot of people who are nasty, unhappy, performative beings who, frankly, they look that way, all right? Why do you think Nancy Pelosi has had to have so many facelifts, darling, and why they still don't seem to do all that much? Well, if you live a nasty, grifting, inauthentic, tangentially criminal life, then what do you think is going to happen, right? And Her Majesty Audrey Hepburn talked about this, okay? She had a lot of conversations and a lot of interviews where she spoke about what makes someone beautiful. And she was correct. What makes someone beautiful is who you choose to be in your private life, the way that you choose to live when no one else is watching, and the choices that you choose to make, and how that expresses itself when you do interact with people. And if you live in an honorable and principled way, then you will be a beautiful, honorable, principled person, and it will express itself externally. And I think that is why we see the demise of a lot of politicians. We see a lot of the demise of social media influencers of a certain type. I don't think it's this way for everyone, because there are obviously people who do choose to live in a way that is genuine, both in who they are in their personal life is who they are in their public life. But that is what is catching a lot of people off guard now. And part of what I think is so great and beautiful about the age of social media and internet. Don't you dare. I see you. I will come and get you. She's trying to go under the sofa. Okay? No. And I think that what social media and everyone having a camera in their pocket these days means is that you will be caught in your lies, all right? You can't play pretend forever. And I mean, you can play pretend forever, but at some point it stops being pretend and it starts becoming who you actually are. So you have to make a choice of who you want to be. Who do you want to be? What kind of values do you want to have? And how is that reflected in who you choose to present to the world? Yeah, I see you. Okay? I see you over there. So, and I think that's what alleged influencers are going to have to start paying attention to, right? Like, is the persona that you put forward on your platform the same persona that people are encountering when they meet you in person? And how does that, now, to go into how does that connect to how does that connect to stereotypes? All right, well, first of all, we got to make sure we have our definitions correct here, okay? Because words matter. Y'all know that I think that the English language and the use of language and your ability to be really precise and particular with the language and the words that you choose is important, okay? And let's look up stereotype. I did not spell that right. Okay. This is not. Okay, here we go. Hold on. First, I need to go take a little peep on Madame Boobery over here. We never know what she's getting up to if she's out of sight. Yeah. You just shit the floor. Come up here. Now, do you want to hang out with me? Or do you want to go in there and hang out with Dad? Huh? Say hello. Hello. Yeah. Yes, she is fabulous. Her name is Kiwi, and she is the best bird ever. Okay? Now, here we go. Oh, no. Come here. Oh. She was trying to get back to you.
Kiwi. Well, now you gotta get her off of there.
Here. Oh, okay. All right. Little interlude there, little bird interlude, and that jingling is I have icicles hanging on the edge of this table that I have been, again, procrastination queen, procrastinating about fixing my little doohickey so I can hang them up properly, okay? Because the slapdash method that I had before was not working. So, anywho, back to stereotype. All right, so first of all, when you dig into stereotype now, there's a lot of like emotional, feely, like reductiveness and like, ew, this is bad, like stereotypes are bad kind of nonsense, okay? But the Oxford Dictionary definition of a stereotype is a widely held but fixed and oversimplified image or idea of a particular type of person or thing, okay? And originally, a stereotype referred to a relief printing plate cast in a mold made from composed type or an original plate, okay? So you can see how the word stereotype came from being a precast mold of a printing press to being applied to a person or a overly simplified, widely held assumption, basically, because that's what a stereotype is. But why do they exist? First of all, they come to exist because there are, in fact, a wide group of individuals who are fueling that stereotype. Because if you think a stereotype just magically came to exist on its own without having a group of people to form that stereotype around, well, baby, you need to get out in the world more, okay? Because that's exactly how stereotypes form. And is stereotyping necessarily good? No, but it's also not necessarily evil. Stereotyping is, in fact, lawful good, all right? It's right there in the middle of that bingo card, babies, all right? Because it is a lizard brain way of immediately knowing how to interact with the environment that you're around, okay? Because the environment that you inhabit, unless you are a mushroom, which if you're one of these work from home mushroom people, baby, put on some real pants, put on some real shoes, not sneakers, not shoes made of plastic, put on real shoes, real pants, and go out into the world and recalibrate yourself, okay? Because being a mushroom ain't good for nobody, okay? But stereotypes exist for a reason. They are lawful neutral. They are a coping mechanism that your lizard brain developed in order to make sure that you are interacting with your environment in the best possible way, okay? That's what stereotypes are. And so beyond that, then you get into the stereotypes that there are negative stereotypes. There absolutely are negative stereotypes. There are also positive stereotypes. And you know what you get to do? You get to wake up every day and choose what stereotype you want to inhabit. Because everyone is going to put you into certain boxes, whether you like it or not. That's the way the world works, all right? You can either cry about it or you can recognize that and then make choices accordingly, right? So I have a good friend of mine who, unbelievably talented photographer, all right? He used to play football. He was a marvelous football player, but there was a point in his life where he had to recognize that it wasn't going to be the career that he had hoped it would be, which happens to a lot of people. A lot of people come up against this, right? And so he started doing photography, and I think he is a marvelous photographer. But one of the things that he told me about the way that he and his family, and he got this from his parents, right? And the way that he chooses to live his life is that he goes out of his way to cultivate skills and talents that are unexpected. Like when people find out the skills and talents that he has, it's unexpected because it defies traditional stereotypes that may be projected on him, okay? And I think that's marvelous. I think that is the most magnificent way to counteract these things, right? Like if there is a stereotype that, oh, you don't swim, baby, go out and swim. Okay, first of all, everybody should know how to swim because it is a life skill, all right? You need to learn how to do it. We don't naturally breathe underwater. If you want to live when you're around water, go learn how to swim. Everybody can do it, all right? But swimming, or let's say snow skiing, right? Or living out in the wilderness, being a wilderness survivalist, right? Knowing how to use firearms, knowing how to sew on a button, right? Like what are little things that people would not normally expect you to know how to do? Well, go out and learn how to do them, baby. You shove those stereotypes right out the window and you cultivate contradiction, right? So that you can help change people's minds, because that's what you're doing, right? And especially if there are negative stereotypes that people associate with you, right? Like if there are things about yourself, if you are slovenly, if you don't present yourself in a way that demonstrates the personal respect and the personal respect that you hold for yourself, then people are going to view you in a certain way, right? If you choose to inhabit stereotypes like being a trashy welfare land whale, right? And that's who you are physically when you go out into the world. Why would you expect anyone to treat you differently, right? And so you, as again, this is another one of my favorite little sayings, and people get mad at me about using it, but baby, it's true, okay? It's true. We're all born naked and the rest is drag, okay? So it means that you get the choice of waking up and consciously deciding how people are going to interact with you. It's why I think that putting on real clothes, and when I say real clothes, I mean clothes that are not made of a petroleum-based product, okay? If it's rayon, if it's polyester, if it's viscose, if it's modal, if it's any of these like alleged sustainable fibers that are all made out of a petroleum chemical-based product, baby, I don't care if they do tell you it's recycled. Recycling is bullshit. It's made out of petroleum. It's bad for you. It's bad for the environment. Stop doing it. It's not real clothes. If it's stretchy and it feels like pajamas when you go out of the house, and it's spandex and it's yoga gear, like, this is not real clothes. If you're putting on rubber shoes, if you're putting on petroleum-based plastic shoes, if you're putting on casual shoes, if you're putting on not real shoes that are slides, that are for showering, then those are not real clothes. Put on real clothes, okay? Put on genuine, thoughtful, meaningfully constructed garments that make you look and feel your best, okay? Because I guarantee you, if you do that and you go out into the world and you make a conscious effort to be who you want people to perceive you as, it will change your life, okay? Because without a shadow of a doubt, everything that you do from the moment that you wake up to when you go to bed at night is a performance, and you have the choice of deciding whether it is a honorable beneficiary performance that becomes reality, or do you choose to live in a dishonorable, shameful way that then becomes who you are? And that's the choice, right? Every day you wake up and you have that choice, and it's why classy, not trashy, okay? You have a choice regardless of your financial system and situation in life, especially in the United States, of whether or not you want to be classy or trashy. And it starts with how you choose to wake up in the morning and present yourself to the day, whether you are at home or you are going out in public or going to the office. How you choose to dress and present yourself, even to just yourself, makes a difference. Okay, so put on some real shoes. Go buy a good pair of loafers. Okay, back in the day, you could have 2 pairs of shoes, a nice dress shoe and a work boot, and it would go with everything. All right, and when I say work boot, I mean like a nice, lifelong, pass it along to your great grandbabies kind of work boot. Okay, none of this disposable, buy it once and then it ends up in the garbage kind of nonsense. It's not cool anymore. It's lame, it's gross, and it shows a financial and personal degeneracy that expresses itself with choosing to wear Crocs all the time, okay? Or sweatpants. Grow up, become classy, and live up to the stereotypes that you want to be a part of, okay? Because people will associate you with them whether you like it or not. And you have a choice of which stereotypes you want to inhabit, all right? So, classy, not trashy, ladies and gentlemen. All the world is a stage, and all the men and women merely players. And if you want to be a successful influencer, be the exact same person in your videos as you are when you meet people in real life. And that's it. That's it. All right? So that is my little lecture for the day. Go out, be a part of the world, embrace the stereotypes that are important to you, and live your life in a meaningful and honorable, integrity-filled way. All right? Hold yourself accountable, and then everything else will follow. All right? Because the way we are going to fix our nation, our culture, the communities that we live in is when you start holding yourself accountable on a day-to-day basis. All right? So wake up, be thankful for the opportunities that you have that have been given to you by your ancestors, and get after it, babies. Get after it. You have every opportunity to be anything that you want to be in this world, all right? You really do. Now, have a good one, y'all. And I'll talk to you next time.